Tracy continued making the house so uncomfortable for Adana. Tracy didn't do anything in the house except pressing her phone, making video calls from one social media platform to another, and asked Ucha for money at all times. She always wanted expensive hairs, bags, clothes and jewelries. One day, Uchenna and Tracy were inside their room. Adana quietly packed her bag and decided to leave without telling them. She felt hopeless and didn't know where to go. She didn't want to go back to the village. She sat at the junction, holding her bag tightly, deep in thought. "Where do I go from here?" she whispered to herself, tears streaming down her face. Just then, a car drove past her, but then reversed back. The man parked and stepped out. "Hello, young lady." "Oh, it's nice to meet you again. Do you still remember me?" "My name is Kenneth. I was the man who asked you for a house number some time ago. Why are you crying all alone here?" Adana looked up and recognized him. She had no choice but to tell him what happened. She felt sad and lost, and Kenneth felt pity for her. "I have a vacant room where I stay," Kenneth offered kindly. "I won't disturb you for anything." Adana hesitated. "But I don't know you well. What if you are not a good person?" Kenneth smiled gently. "I understand your worry, but I promise I'm not that kind of person. You need a safe place to stay, and I want to help." After a long discussion, Adana agreed to follow Kenneth to his house. When they reached his house, it was a very beautiful place. Adana was not surprised because Kenneth looked like he had money. She settled into a room Kenneth had prepared for her. Meanwhile, back at Uchenna's house, he was calling Adana, but she didn't answer. He went to the kitchen, then to her room, and noticed that her bag was no longer there. "Tracy, did you send Adana on any errand?" Uchenna asked. Tracy looked up from her phone. "No, I didn't send her anywhere." "Well, she's no longer a baby. She can take good care of herself," Uchenna said to himself. He didn't know where Adana had gone, but he hoped she would be safe. Tracy, on the other hand, didn't seem to care that Adana was gone. She continued her usual activities, spending Uchenna's money and enjoying herself. At Kenneth's house, Adana felt a mix of emotions. She was relieved to have a safe place to stay, but also worried about what the future held. Kenneth was kind to her, giving her space and time to settle in. "Thank you so much, Kenneth," Adana said one evening. "I don't know what I would have done without your help." Kenneth smiled. "You don't need to thank me, Adana. I am just glad I could help. If you need anything, just let me know." Adana nodded, feeling a bit more at ease. She started to think about what she could do next. She knew she had to find a way to support herself. Kenneth had mentioned he could help her to find a job, and she decided to take him up on his offer. As they went by, Adana began to feel more hopeful. She still missed Uchenna and felt sad about what happened, but she was determined to make a better life for herself. Kenneth proved to be a good friend. He taught me many things Uchenna didn't have patience to. He helped Adana to find a job and supported her as she had started to rebuild her life. Adana was grateful for the new beginning and was ready to face whatever challenges that came her way. And so, Adana's journey took a new turn, one filled with hope and possibilities. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but with the kindness of people like Kenneth, she believed she could make it through. Since Adana left Uchena's house, Tracy had not entered the kitchen to cook for once. They ate from one eatery to another. One day, Uchenna told Tracy, "I want to eat homemade food." Tracy replied, "I'm very busy online. Besides, I don't like stressing myself for anything. I think we need to employ a house help." Uchenna felt hurt by her words. He snubbed her and went to the kitchen to make food by himself. Later in the day, Uchenna decided to go somewhere to cool off his head. He came back at night and asked Tracy, "Can you please serve me my dinner?" Tracy said, "There is no food." Uchenna frowned, "But I made food before leaving the house." Tracy replied, "I have been at home. Do you want me to starve? I ate the food." Uchenna got so upset. "Tracy, you should never try such a stupid act next time," he warned her sternly. Meanwhile, Kenneth and Adana were growing closer every day. Their bond was becoming stronger and they started falling in love with each other. The following morning, Uchenna went to the kitchen to get something but was shocked to see the kitchen so unkempt. He marched back to the bedroom and asked Tracy, "Why is the kitchen so dirty? What kind of woman are you? You can't keep the house clean and you can't cook food." Tracy rolled her eyes and replied, "I am not your cook, nor your cleaner." Uchenna couldn't believe his ears. "I had endured for long and I can't continue like this anymore. Tracy, pack your things and leave my house. It's over between us," he said firmly. Tracy's eye widened in shock. "It has not gotten to this, babe." "Okay, I'm sorry for everything." But Uchenna was determined. He pushed her and her bag out of his house. Tracy stood outside, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't believe Uchenna had thrown her out. She knocked at the door. "Uchenna, please, let me in. I'm very sorry, I promise to change." But Uchenna didn't respond. He sat on the sofa, his hand on his head. He thought about how things has gotten so bad. He remembered the good time he had with Adana and wished he could turn back time. Meanwhile, Adana was with Kenneth. They were having a lovely time at the park. Kenneth said, "Adana, I feel so happy being around you." Adana smiled. "I feel the same way too, Kenneth. You are so kind and caring." Kenneth blushed. "Thank you, Adana. You make me want to be a better person." They held hands and walked through the park, enjoying each other's company. They talked about their dreams and plans for the future. Kenneth wanted to start his own business, and Adana wanted to help children in need. Back at Uchenna's house, Tracy was still pleading, "Uchenna, please forgive me and give me another chance." Uchenna finally opened the door. "Tracy, I can't live like this anymore. You don't respect me or our home." Tracy cried, "I do respect you, Uchenna. I just got lazy. I will change, I promised." Uchenna shook his head. "I'm sorry, Tracy. I don't believe you. You need to go now." Tracy picked up her bag and walked away, feeling sad and alone. Uchenna watched her go, feeling a mix of relief and sorrow. He knew he had made the right decision, though it hurt. He sat back on the sofa and thought about his future. He wanted a partner who would share his dream and work together with him. He decided to focus on his work and his friends, hoping that one day he would find the right person. As the days passed, Uchenna found comfort in his work. He threw himself into his work, working hard and earning the respect of his colleagues. He spent time with his best friend Chinonso, who always knew how to cheer him up. "Don't worry, Uchenna," Chinonso said. "One day, you will find someone who appreciates you. Just give it time." Uchenna smiled. "Thank you, Chinonso. I hope you are right." In the meantime, Adana and Kenneth's relationship continued to grow. They supported each other in their goals and dreams, finding joy in their shared experiences. And so, life went on. Uchenna learned to appreciate the simple joys. He knew that the future was uncertain, but he was ready to face whatever came his way. Life continued in Port Harcourt, and everything seemed normal for Uchenna. One sunny afternoon, Kenneth and Adana decided to go to the mall. They enjoyed shopping together and often spent their weekend exploring new places in the city. As they walked through the crowded mall, Uchenna suddenly bumped into Adana. His eyes widened in surprise. "Adana! Wow! Is this really you?" Uchenna exclaimed, his face lighting up with joy. "You look so beautiful. Where have you been? I have been looking for you everywhere. Thank God I met you here. Let's go back to the house. I have really missed you." Adana's eyes narrowed, and she took a step back. Before she could respond, Kenneth, who was holding her hand, turned to her with a concerned look. "My love, are you alright?" Kenneth asked gently, "Do you know this young man?" Adana sighed and nodded. "Yes, I know him. He was the man who brought me from the village and left me for a city girl. And both of them turned me into their slave." Uchenna's face fell, and he tried to beg. "Adana, please, Cynthia is gone. You can come back. Things will be different, I promise." Kenneth stepped closer to Uchenna, his expression stern. "You are very wicked and heartless," he said angrily. "You have two eyes but can't see with them. Now you see how good and beautiful she looks, and you want her back. Are you serious? If I see you anywhere around my woman, you will regret ever treating her like a trash." Uchenna looked at Adana, his eyes pleading. "Who is this man?" he asked. Adana looked at Kenneth with a warm smile. "Kenneth is my man. He took me in and gave me a chance at a better life." Uchenna stepped closer, trying to hold Adana's hand. "Please, Adana, come back with me," he pleaded. But Kenneth quickly pushed Uchenna away. "Stay away from Adana," he warned. "She doesn't need you anymore." Kenneth took Adana's hand and led her away, leaving Uchenna standing there, stunned. After a while, Uchenna walked slowly to his car and drove to Chinonso's house, feeling frustrated and sad. When he arrived at Chinonso's house, he didn't even wait to be invited in. He burst through the door, looking upset. "Guess who I saw, Chinonso?" Uchenna said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I saw Adana. She was looking so beautiful and classy. And as I was talking to her, one stupid guy came and called her my love and started threatening me never to come near her again." Chinonso sighed and shook his head. "Please, Uchenna, just let them be. After all, I warned you about bringing Cynthia into your house when you still had Adana." Uchenna's face turned red with anger. "If I don't have Adana, then no one will ever," he declared, his voice filled with determination. Chinonso tried to advise him to let them be, but Uchenna refused to listen. He angrily stormed out of the house and slamming the door behind him. Meanwhile, back at the mall, Kenneth and Adana continued their shopping. Kenneth noticed that Adana seemed quiet and lost in thought. "Are you okay, my love?" Kenneth asked gently, squeezing her hand. Adana forced a smile and nodded. "I'm fine, Kenneth. It's just that seeing Uchenna brought back a lot of memories." Kenneth nodded understandingly. "I know it's hard, but remember, you have a new life now. We are happy together, and that's what matters." Adana smiled genuinely this time. "You are right, Kenneth. I'm lucky to have you." They continued their shopping, enjoying each other's company. Kenneth bought Adana a beautiful dress and she gave him a big hug to show her appreciation. As they left the mall, Kenneth and Adana felt closer than ever. They knew that no matter what happened, they had each other and that their love was strong. As Uchenna was driving through the estate, when he saw someone who looks like Kenneth, Adana's boyfriend, he needed to be very sure, so he parked his car and waited inside to see the person more clearly. When he confirmed it was Kenneth, he smiled and thought to himself, "So this is where you kept my Adana." He drove back home to prepare his mind. The following morning, Uchenna drove back to the estate to monitor when Kenneth would leave the house. When Kenneth finally left the house, Uchenna entered the house and knocked on the door. Adana wondered if Kenneth had forgotten something. When she opened the door, she was shocked to see Uchenna. "What are you doing here?" Adana asked. "I have come to take you back home," Uchenna replied firmly. Adana stepped back and shook her head. "Which home? God forbid. I'm not going anywhere with you." Uchenna forced her way inside, grabbed Adana's arm and said, "I brought you out from the village, and you will come with me." Adana struggled and cried, "Let go of me. I'm not going anywhere." Just then, Kenneth returned to pick up a document he had forgotten. He was surprised to see Uchenna dragging Adana, who was crying. "How dare you come to my house and hit my woman?" Kenneth shouted. He quickly called the police and they came and arrested Uchenna. At the police station, Uchenna sat in the cell, thinking about his actions and blaming himself for going too far. The next day, Chinonso, Uchenna's best friend, came to plead on his behalf. "Please, Kenneth," Chinonso begged. "Uchenna is really sorry for what he did. Please release him." Adana promised to talk to Kenneth about it. 2 days later, Kenneth, Adana and Chinonso went to the police station to release Uchenna. Uchenna apologized to Adana, saying, "I was selfish for everything I did to you. I'm truly sorry." Adana looked at Uchenna with soft eyes and said, "I thank you for bringing me out from the village, because if you didn't, I wouldn't have met Kenneth. But you have to let me live my life now." Uchenna nodded and replied, "I wish you all the best, Adana." They embraced each other warmly. Kenneth and Adana walked out of the police station, hand to hand, ready to start their new life together. Kenneth looked at Adana and said, "I'm so glad to meet you. You make me very happy." Adana smiled and replied, "I'm happy too, Kenneth. I can't wait to start our family." Finally, Kenneth and Adana got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by their families and friends. Uchenna and Chinonso attended the wedding and wished them well. As the years went by, Kenneth and Adana built a loving home and had two wonderful children. They never forgot the lessons they learned about love, forgiveness, and moving on. Uchenna too found peace and happiness in his own life, realizing that sometimes letting go is the best way to hold on to what is truly important. This story of Uchenna and Adana teaches us that love means respecting others' choices. Uchenna learned that he couldn't make Adana love him by forcing her. In the end, letting go made everyone happier. Respect and kindness are the most important part of love. Thank you for watching this amazing story of Uchenna and Adana. Please kindly like, comment, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you on the next video.